Dear America, Dreams in the Golden Country, The Diary of Zipporah Feldman, a Jewish Immigrant Girl, by Kathryn Lasky. Lower East Side, New York City, 1903. September 1st, 1903, New York, Ellis Island. I am sitting here on the wood suitcase, the one with the metal straps. Mama says I am too heavy to rest on the wicker one. It seems as if we have been in this baggage room forever, although it has only been 2 hours since we got off the boat. My oldest sister, Tova, says to get used to it. It takes a long time to get processed. I am not sure what this word means. I know when you enter life you are born, but when you enter America you are processed, here at Ellis Island. It has something to do with all the papers Mama carries with her. It also has a lot to do with waiting. Tova finds out a lot, for she roams all over this place. She is very nosy. She picks up gossip. She brings back scary stories about something called inspection that they will do to us in the next room. If we fail inspection, we can be detained, made to wait, or even get sent back. And then when shall we ever see Papa again? It has been nearly 2 years since we have seen him. He came to America before us to make enough money to buy our tickets on the ship. Every month he went to the draft and package office and exchanged his American money for the 10 rubles that he sent to us for our steerage voyage from Hamburg to New York. That is where the boat left from, Hamburg, Germany. But first we had to travel there, for we are from Zarica, a little village in Minsk gubernaria in Russia. I will tell you more about that later. My name is Zipporah Feldman, Zippy for short. I am Jewish. I am 12. I am the youngest of 3 children. Miriam is 15 and Tova is 17. I weigh 89 pounds on the kosher butcher scales. That is another story, how Miriam and I sneaked into Reb Golden's shop and weighed ourselves. Anyhow, I am coming to America. No, not coming. I am finally here. And I am just now starting this diary. Mama gave me the diary before we left Zarica. I am writing it in Yiddish, but I swear on the blessed memory of my grandmother that a year from now I shall be writing in English. Same day, 1 hour later, registry room, Ellis Island. We are now in the biggest room I have ever been in. There are many long aisles. Mama is leaning against Tova with her head on her shoulder and snoring as we wait. Her sheitel has slipped down toward her eyebrow. She looks funny. Miriam and I giggle and wonder if we should fix it for her. Tova says we should fix the wig by taking it off. She says in New York, Jewish wives walk around in their own hair, not wigs. She is sure of this. She says only in the old country is it considered vain to show your hair. This must be one of the ideas she picked up at the cafe in Zarica where she and all her smarty friends went. Tova thinks she knows everything. What she doesn't know, she makes up. But I shouldn't make fun of her. All her snooping around has helped us. She told us right before we walked up the stairs to this room that we should step lively and look energetic, because the medical inspectors watch you as you climb up the stairs. If you were slow or lame, the doctors might disqualify you. Shut the door to America right in your face. We did well on the stairs. Now our line starts to move. The doctors will look at us. Let's hope we pass. 1 hour later. If I ever criticize Tova again, may I be left speechless. May the uppermost one make my tongue drop from my mouth. Here is what happened, and how Tova saved me. The doctors, they come up to you. The women go into a line, where there is a nurse as well. They unbutton your collar to check for the neck swelling, called goiter. They look in your ears, and necks check for bad backs or lameness. The worst part is the eye examination. They take a button hook and flip up your eyelid. There is a bad disease called trachoma, and if you have it, they send you back. Well, they flipped up my eyelid, and then a nurse lady takes a piece of chalk and marks a letter on my back. E for eye in English. I have no eye disease at all. The day before we landed, a piece of soot from the ship's smokestacks blew into my eye and caused a redness. When the nurse wrote this letter on my back, my mother gave a little scream. I froze. Miriam looked as if she might faint, but Tova quickly pushed me forward. I will never know how she did it, but faster than a shooting star, she turned my coat with the chalk mark inside out. Before we knew it, the man at the last medical table had stamped our papers. We quickly passed through the mental exam. There was an interpreter, but Mamma became quite huffy when they asked her if she was married. She began munching her lips, and then she exploded in Yiddish. What does this piece of disturbance take me for? I stand here with my 3 daughters, and he asks if I am married? That is Mamma's main curse, to call someone a piece of disturbance. Or if she knows their nationality, she calls them a Polish piece of disturbance, or a Galatian piece, or an Italian piece. Now, all our papers are stamped. Tova says we are safe. We do not have letters LPN stamped on any one of them. LPN means liable to become a public nuisance. I looked at us in wonder. Mamma with her wig still not straight and her ankles swollen from standing so long in so many lines. Tova, her direct, honest eyes taking in everything. Miriam like an angel with her almost blonde hair curling around her lovely high forehead. And me, confused, skinnier than ever from throwing up all the way across the Atlantic. I think, how could we ever become a public nuisance? Are there 4 more unlikely people? Wait, I must stop writing. Our name is being called. Papa must be here. September 2nd, 1903, Lower East Side, New York City, 14 Orchard Street. I feel totally, completely lost. I am not in Russia, but I don't know where I am. If this is America, I don't like it, not one bit. Tova forbids me to say that I hate it until I have lived here at least 2 years. She says it is unfair to make up one's mind that quickly. Well, she might forbid me to say it, but I can write it. It actually would take me forever to list all the things I hate. But first of all, I think I hate change. And everything is changed. Even Papa. He no longer wears his side locks. Mamma is shocked, I can tell. But he says when he lived in St. Petersburg as a young music student, he never wore side locks. He says he can still be an Orthodox Jew without his paya. But I know it disturbs Mamma. She keeps muttering the words from Leviticus. Thou shalt not round the quarters of your heads, neither shalt thou mark the corners of thy beard. This is the reason found in the Bible for why Jews do not cut their side locks. I don't care about Bible reasons. I like Papa with paya. They were soft and fuzzy, and the color of the pale flames in a fire. His beard was always shorter than most Jewish men, because of playing the violin. And Tova was right. Many women do not wear wigs. They go about in their own hair, not even a scarf. That doesn't bother me. Besides, Mama won't change. I know that for sure. Papa, however, has changed. But worse than Papa's side locks is this place. It is awful, this tenement apartment. I cannot believe that back in Russia everyone called America the Goldene Medina, the Golden Country. There is nothing golden. It is only darkness. We entered a hall so skinny that fat Giddle from Penchenka Street could never have fit. Bad smells swirled around us. There are gas lights in the hall, but because the landlord tries to save money, he will not turn them on until it is completely dark outside. But it is always completely dark inside. The staircase is narrow and rickety. When we got to our apartment, before we entered, Papa proudly pointed to a door in the hallway. It is the lavatory. We share it with the other family on our floor, the Sheehans. He says we are lucky to have such a luxury. Yes, so we enter this place, our apartment. Again, he tells us we are lucky. We have not just 2 rooms like most. We have 3 rooms, a parlor, a kitchen, and a dark, windowless bedroom. We 3 girls will sleep in the parlor, and Mama and Papa in the back room. Later. I just noticed this heap on a bed by the stove. It is a little old man with long side locks wrapped in circles around his ears. He wears a long black robe and a fur hat. Except for the fur, he looks like a bag of bones. Chicken bones. He is so small. And where does he sleep? My mother's voice is wavy, as if it floats on a sea of tears. Oh, this is Reb Simcha. Papa's voice is tense. A religious scholar of great genius, my father whispered. My mother has always been in awe of Gayans. She dreamed of having a son who would become a Gayan, but instead there was this little bag of chicken bones sitting on a makeshift bed. He's a boarder, isn't he, Yekel? Yeah, but a Gayan too. My mother looks thoughtful. I wonder if she really thinks we are so lucky. Yet all the time Mama keeps saying how lucky we are. And Tova and Miriam too. They look at me as if I am too young to know the meaning of lucky. We are lucky because of the pogroms, when the Tsar's armies, and more often the Russian peasants, came through and killed the people in the Jewish villages, never quite reached Zarica. And we are lucky because Papa left for America before he could be drafted into the Tsar's army. And we are lucky because we saw what happened during the last Passover season we all celebrated together in Zarica, the one when the people from Zlinka staggered into our village with their terrible wounds. A group of peasants and soldiers, filled up with vodka, had set out to kill them with scythes and axes and clubs. There was a girl Miriam's age. Her head was all bandaged. Her mother told us that her ear had been cut off by a scythe. That was the Passover when Papa said we would leave. First he went, and now we follow. So it all began on Passover, the year of 1901. I was just 10 years old. I had 2 ears then. I still have them. So yes, I guess I am lucky. But am I lucky to live with a smelly little bag of chicken bones who incidentally is a genius? Lucky to live in a 3-room apartment with 1 window? Lucky to have running water in the hall when we had a whole brook running just outside our house in Zarica? Lucky to live in a place that is so dark that when I go to bed at night and wake in the morning, I do not believe there is such a thing called a sky? Yes, I am one lucky girl, am I not? September 3rd, 1903. What a day! It is Thursday, and Mama finally, after much pleading, allowed us to go out shopping. Or else how do we have food to fix our first Shabbos dinner in America? So Papa drew a map for us to the pig market on Hester Street. I can't believe they call it the pig market, and the place is swollen with Jews. Miriam says maybe it's a joke because it is said you can buy everything except a pig there. Suspenders, pants, hats, spectacles, peaches, chickens, geese, fresh bread, stale bread. And there are soda vendors. We bought a carp, a big, fresh-looking fellow. We know how to look a fish in the eye and tell how long it's been dead. And no one ever better try and sell Tova one with a cloudy eye, as the first pushcart man did. He swore up and down that the carp had just come out of the water. He swore in Yiddish first, then Polish, and then, finally, he swore in Russian. Not one language could convince Tova, but imagine his surprise when Tova speaks back to him in perfect English. At least it sounded that way to me. "What do you take me for, a greenhorn?" As I should have suspected, Tova has been studying English secretly for the last several months. We finally bought a carp from the lady with the pushcart next to the lady who turned horseradish. It was Miriam's idea to get the horseradish. What will we put it on, I say? It is too strong for carp. Not for fish, Miriam says. For Reb Simcha. We put it on him. We all laughed. You see, he smells so bad we think the horseradish might cut the sickly ripeness of him. I wish he would spend 1/10 of the time he does in the prayer house at the public baths. We are going tomorrow morning, first thing, to get nice and pinky clean for Shabbos. September 4th, 1903. Less than an hour until sunset, so not much time to write. Even Tova agreed not to try to sneak any time as she usually does with her studies, and thus break the Shabbos by writing. If it weren't for the food and the singing, Shabbos could be very boring. You could not write, or sew, or cut, or kindle a fire, or even tie knots. It is forbidden. Papa says they're a nice non-Jew, a Shabbos goy, who will come and turn the gas lights low for us. He is a relative of the Sheehans. The Sheehans' children are too young to do it, mostly babies. There is a lot of yelling and squalling. We can hear it through the air shaft. The air shaft is for ventilation for the lavatory and the back bedroom spaces. It runs up and down through the middle of the building. We should put Reb Simcha in the air shaft. I do not understand any of the words yet that the Sheehans scream at one another. The grandmother screams a lot. Tova has promised to help me learn English, but I shall be going to a school, I think. Miriam and Tova will be going to work, probably in one of the sweatshops. Tova would prefer a real factory. Mama and Papa say I am absolutely too young to work. There is a school on Mott Street. We passed near it today when we went for our baths. After our baths, we picked up the challah from the baker, and then we came back to our horrid little apartment. It started to seem just the tiniest bit like our old stone cottage in Zarica, for the same Shabbos smell started to float through the air. Right now I can smell the latke baking. The sweet lemony smell sweeps through the parlor where I write, and I just hope that Reb Simcha does not come home too soon and spoil it all. 20 minutes to Lichbenchen, Miriam just called out. Then Mamma will say the blessing and light the Shabbos candles just before sunset. I hope Papa gets home soon. The Shabbos table, even in this grim apartment, looks lovely with the white tablecloth, the 2 loaves of challah, and the candles. The apartment grows darker and darker, but Tova really put a shine on the candlesticks and the Kiddush cup. They gleam so brightly, and on this, our first Sabbath in America, I can almost believe that there is a sky. September 8th, 1903. It has been so many days since I have written. What with Shabbos, I stopped. Of course, but once Shabbos was over. I don't know. I just couldn't get back to writing. I am having many confusing thoughts. When I read my last entry, I realized that I had high hopes for Shabbos. But again, it was different here than back in Zurika. You see, Papa didn't go to the synagogue, and there is a shul quite near. I think Mama was upset, but in some ways it was nicer. We ate earlier, and we had more time to sing. We sang all 4 stanzas of Shalom al-Kayem, Peace unto you, each stanza at least 2 times. We danced around the table as we always do. The only bad part was that Reb Simcha came back during the last stanza, and the little bag of bones squeezed into the circle and took my hand and Papa's. His skin feels like chicken, too, plucked chicken, moist and puckery. He even dances like one, little jerky hopping steps. You'd think he only had 3 toes on each foot. And then Papa, before Kiddush, the wine blessing was recited, sang the beautiful words of Ashet Shayel. This is the song to the wife, the song to the homemaker, the woman of valor, and usually Mama beams as he sings the verses. But this time she just sort of sat there and looked, well, rather dull, beaten down. Then he sang the Kiddush. I think this country might be too much for Mama, but what have we to go back to? There is news of another horrible pogrom in the state of Minsk. 800 people killed. I know Mama is upset about the new ways here, about Papa not going to shul, and him shaving his side locks, and all the women who go out in their own hair. But at least that hair is attached to a head, and that head is attached to a body. It does seem silly to get upset about wigs and such when it could be so much worse. As Tante Fruma of the 1,000 Proverbs used to say, better a Jew without a beard than a beard without a Jew. So it is not comfortable, this situation with Mama and Papa. Papa works so hard. I sneaked a look at his violin, covered in a thick layer of dust. I don't think he has played it since he arrived here 2 years ago. He has worked as much as 18 hours a day to make money in the sweatshop, sewing cloaks to bring us over. And now we are here, and Mama and Papa stare at each other like strangers. I am tired now and sad. I should not be so sad, I guess, for as Tante Fruma always said, better a bad peace than a good war. It is just a bad peace between Mama and Papa right now. Maybe things will improve. I forgot that one of the best parts of Shabbos was the Shabbos Goy. He is so nice and very handsome. His name is Sean O'Malley. He is very funny and knows everything that is going on in this entire city. He is a fireman, but Friday is his night off. His father is also a fireman, and his grandfather was a policeman. He explained to Tova what the Sheehans fight about. Mrs. Sheehan is from Belfast, in Northern Ireland, and Mr. Sheehan and his mother are from Limerick. And the north and the south parts of Ireland hate each other, and the grandmother suspects Mrs. Sheehan of being a Protestant. But she is not. She is a Catholic. September 9th, 1903. Well, I am to start school next Monday. Miriam started yesterday to work in the same shop as Papa, and Tova found work in a shirtwaist factory. She pulls basting threads. One day in the factory, and she is an expert. She comes home with tales of how the owner is a disgusting man who is exploiting the workers, and it needs to be a union shop. I do not know what this means. Tova is really flying with the English. She brings home newspapers to read, and she is teaching me. I like reading the newspapers. The headline words are nice and big, and there are pictures. I have learned the word typhoid. It is a disease, and there is a lady called Typhoid Mary. She has been spreading this disease. She works in jobs involved with handling food. That is why she is so dangerous. But Tova says that we need not worry, since we eat only kosher food, and Typhoid Mary is not Jewish, so she would never be working in a place where we buy our food. I like learning English this way. So here are the new words I learned: typhoid, infection, health, Department of Health, spread. Tova is making me up a verb chart, and then I am going to be writing sentences using verbs, probably mostly about disease. September 11th, 1903. Only 15 minutes till Liechtenstein. Then 3 more hours until Liechtenstein. That's when Sean O'Malley comes to turn low the gas lights and damper the wood stove. I told Miriam my made-up phrase, Liechtenstein. She blushed. Thank goodness we're not having carp this week. We're having chicken stew. In any case, I won't have to sing the fishy song. You see, when I was little, every time Mama served fish, I used to sing this song about fishy swimming in the pitch. That was the river near our village. Anyhow, it's a very dumb song. Maybe it's cute when you're 7 or 8, but dumb when you're 12. Still, Papa wanted me to sing it since he had been away from us so long. So I did. Reb Simcha smiled at me and drooled, and I saw that he only has about 4 teeth in his mouth. 6 minutes until Liechtenstein, and Mama says that the Kiddush cup is not filled with wine yet. She likes everything set before she lights the candles and says the blessing. Or as she puts it, she likes everything to be Shabbos-dik, in the spirit of Shabbos. Bye-bye for the next 24 hours or so. September 14th, 1903. I have never felt more completely lost and humiliated, far beyond blushing. Why? Because they put me in a class with mostly 6 and 7-year-olds at school. It is the first grade classroom. I barely fit in the chair. This is what they do for immigrant children who don't speak English. I am miserable. Totally, completely miserable. This is such misery, such sorus. I am soristic. I am going to make a list of every Yiddish word I know for misery, pain, and sadness. Sorus, ometic, vetic, diasorum. There. I feel better. September 15th, 1903. School is still horrible. A snotty little 7-year-old made fun of my accent when we said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I am miserable. I shall find some more words to put on my misery list. I might branch out to include words for disgusting. For that little 7-year-old was a passchendaele lump of a thing. What a piece of disturbance. Later that night, Tova found out about my misery list. She says I am a fool. I should not be making lists of Yiddish words for misery, that I should be making the list in English. And then she quotes Tante Fruma for 5 minutes on fools, and I am so mad I argue back each time. Tova, a fool remains a fool. Me, there's an exception to every rule. Tova, better to be a wise person in hell than a fool in paradise. Me, this is paradise, Tova? This rotten little apartment with smelly rubbed chicken bones? Then Tova got mad and turned red. I don't know what she might do, but she went to the cupboard and poured something into a spoon. She came back, and in the nastiest, meanest voice she said, "Taste this!" And I was so scared I opened my mouth. It was honey. I was surprised completely. "Don't look like such a blockhead. You were a goylem," she said. I swallowed the sweetness, for this is what they did on a boy's first day of religious school. In header, for each Hebrew letter whose name the boy would say correctly, a drop of honey was placed on his tongue, so learning would always be sweet. But never for girls. Tova must have read my thoughts. In America, learning in schools is not just for boys. I saw Miriam watching us, and her eyes filled with tears. I knew then she would rather be crunched into a small chair with a classroom of 6-year-olds than working in a shop with Papa. I felt bad in spite of the honey in my mouth. September 16th, 1903. Oh, glory! I brim with glick. I know the word now in English. Happiness. Guess what? A girl just my age came into my class. She is even taller than I am. Her name is Bluma Wilf, but she says to call her Blue for short. She is German Jewish, so she doesn't speak Yiddish, or hardly any at all. None of the German Jews do, but they can understand a lot, because Yiddish is so close to German. She lived in a town close to the Polish border, so she speaks a kind of Germanized Polish, or Polish German. So we get along because, of course, Zurika was close to the Polish border. And guess what else? She lives, you won't believe this, 3 doors down, number 20 Orchard Street. We're neighbors. September 17th, 1903. Blue and I walked home from school today through the pig market. I had to pick up some turnips and some fresh ground horseradish for Mama for Shabbos. Now that Tova and Miriam are working all day long, I get sent on a lot of errands. Mama is still scared to go out by herself. We had some extra pennies, so we bought some pickles to eat and some soda water. We sat on the corner of Hester and Ludlow and ate our pickles and sipped our soda right out of the front of the soda shop. We can understand each other pretty well. I told her about Typhoid Mary and not to worry about the soda or the pickles because it was all kosher. I did a very good imitation of how Reb Simcha eats. Blue says I should be an actress. It's easy to imitate him. He sort of munches his lips along with the food. Amazing he has any lips left. We went to her apartment. She has 2 little brothers and 1 sister. She is the oldest. There is a baby just 6 months old, then a 4-year-old, an 8-year-old, and then Blue, who is a month older than I am. Her father has a pushcart. He sells suspenders mostly. He was a photographer back in Germany and took pictures of very fancy people. Weddings and dignitaries. It is sad for men to have to come here and do something so different. Like Papa. His first love was the violin and music. Now here is Papa, no music, dust on the violin, working in a sweatshop. At least Uncle Moishi, Mama's brother, works at Brooks Brothers. But he's a better tailor than Papa. Papa had to learn how to sew when he got here. Uncle Moishi already knew how, and he has been here much longer. Uncle Moishi is already a citizen. I can't believe I have an uncle who is a citizen of the United States of America. Anyhow, enough of that. I have found a friend, and Blue and I swear that we shall study English so hard that by Hanukkah we shall be promoted to at least the 3rd grade, and by Purim 4th grade, and by the end of the year 7th grade, where we belong with other 12-year-olds. Now I won't be able to write for a while because tomorrow is Shabbos, and then we go right into the High Holy Days, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But I can't wait because right after that is Sukkot, and Papa says we shall build a sukkah booth on the fire escape. September 23rd, 1903. Barely time to write. We are cooking constantly, and then there is a time I spend in shul. We went to Reb Simcha's synagogue over on Norfolk Street. Rosh Hashanah celebrates the beginning of the new year and fresh starts. When the time came to return the Torah to the ark, when the ram's horn is blown, guess who blew it? Reb Simcha. He turned bright red as he blew the shofar. His cheeks puffed out like immense tomatoes, and tears streamed from his eyes. Tova and Miriam and I crowded toward the screen that separates the women's section from the men's, so we could see better. Now I feel guilty about all my nasty thoughts about him. What if Reb Simcha has a heart attack and dies blowing the shofar for the new year? Oi. And there is still another service where he must blow the shofar. I never knew Rosh Hashanah could be so tense. September 24th, 1903. Reb Simcha lives. He got through all the services, well over 100 blasts on the shofar. But then Miriam and I could barely keep from giggling when we saw him turning bright pink in the last service. We simply could not look at each other or we would die laughing. Now Yom Kippur comes. Then Sukkot. Hooray! Papa keeps warning us not to think about our lovely sukkah booths back in Russia with alder and birch branches. I have yet to see a leaf in this city, let alone a whole tree. But Blue says there are trees in parks. Someday we plan to go to one.